Does social media hurt you or help you through your police hiring process? It can do both. Let's discuss. Hey, before we get started, there's two gifts down in the description. If you're new to this channel, they're both down there. If you're not new and you haven't used them yet, please use them. They're my gifts to you. First is the Getting Started workshop. It's going to walk you through and let you know what each phase of the hiring process looks like, so you're well prepared ahead of time. Knowledge is power. Trust me, it's going to change everything for you. Additionally, if you have something specific to you, to your hiring process, something about your background, any questions you need to have, sign up for a free coaching call with myself. I'll be glad to sit down and discuss everything we can and get you on the right path so that you get hired this time around or your first time around, so it doesn't make any additional hurdles for you moving forward. Now, speaking about hurdles, social media can be the biggest hurdle you have out there. It can be something that is just destroying to your police hiring process. It can just obliterate all chances you have. And now it's getting a little bit more complex, which is why I'm doing today's episode. All right. If you're watching this and you have a social media account, you can make all your social medias disappear, right? Which you're probably not going to do. Let's be honest. You're not going to go through and delete all your social medias. And it kind of looks suspicious if you do that. But ultimately, all you have to do is articulate, hey, I want a more professional career. I don't feel social media was benefiting my life, so I got rid of them. End of story. If you're ever asked, hey, why'd you get rid of social media? I didn't feel it was doing any benefit for me. No one's going to question that, right? It's simple, clear, concise, specific, not elaborating. All right. Now, you're most likely not going to get rid of all your social media. So what should you do? You should do a social media scrub, one, and remove anything that is unprofessional, right? And if they ask you, hey, have you ever deleted anything recently? Because these are questions I'm now seeing all the time. Hey, have you deleted anything on your social media? You can just say, yes, I've deleted a lot of stuff that just don't represent who I am as a person anymore. Old photos of people I don't hang out with, photos that were just taking up space. That's it. You don't have to go into a long, elaborate detail. Don't sit here and say, oh, I deleted this photo because I was going through the hiring process for law enforcement and it had me drinking a beer or anything along those lines, right? You don't know. Hey, photos just didn't represent who I was, and I'm a family-oriented, professional-oriented individual. I want to present that publicly. End of story. That's it. No further detail, okay? Now, so social media scrub, going through, finding anything that is just unprofessional and getting rid of it. You shouldn't just do this for law enforcement. You should do this because you're getting into a professional atmosphere. And if you want people to treat you as a professional, regardless of whether it's law enforcement or not, if you want people to treat you professional, you need to appear and present yourself professional. And social media is one of the first places people go to look you up. Your LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever else is out there these days, it doesn't matter. Any social media that's out there, you need to present yourself in a professional manner. What's a professional manner? Nothing that's going to be degrading to you or the agency, right? If the good old grandma test is, would your grandma be embarrassed if she saw you put this up? Now, I know that doesn't cover everything, because some people are going to sit out there and say, well, my grandma would be in the picture right next to me. I get it. But you know where I'm coming from. You're trying to paint yourself in a professional manner. Do so. All right. So removing it. I'm not saying you have to delete photos if they're sentimental to you. Just make them private so that no one else can see them at all. Now, while you're going through this, make all of your social media private, and you're not accepting any new friend requests at all. I was just speaking with a coaching member of mine, and he submitted his applications and he's in the hiring phases. Next thing you know, he's applying out of state. All of a sudden, all these random people from the state in which he's applying, which he does not know, are requesting, access and friend requests to his social media. 90% of that is probably law enforcement trying to gain access to your social media. Do it all the time. Just don't accept any new friend requests, especially from someone you do not know. All right. So you have these professional standards, right? You're trying to present yourself in a professional atmosphere, professional looking demeanor. Anything, like I said, that can be deemed as unprofessional, gestures, pictures where you are indisposed, maybe consuming alcohol or doing anything else, just make them private, right? Just make them private at the very minimum. Make your entire social media access private. People need to request in order to be able to view your stuff. You need to approve them. It's tedious, I understand, but you're going through the hiring process. You need to make sure, and I would probably leave it that way throughout your profession, because you don't want people looking you up that you stop on the street or anything along those lines. Can social media help you, right? Let's pivot here. Can social media help you? I want to say it can help you, but you can set it up so where it doesn't hurt you, right? Just like what we were talking about before. So having a social media presence out there, having it so that people can see, hey, yes, look at this individual. Yeah, we didn't find anything on their social media. They appear presentable. They appear professional, family oriented. Those things, while they're not going to sit here and sell you like that to the chief or to the hiring board, they're going to go in and say, hey, we went through their entire social media. Everything looks great in there. We didn't see any issues. That's going to look fantastic, opposed to, hey, we couldn't find anything on this individual on social media. It looks like they're hiding all their stuff. That can sound kind of bad at times. Or they say, hey, there's nothing on this person about social media. We don't know what they're doing there. Maybe we should ask them for access to their social media. Me personally, I would not sacrifice your privacy for a hiring phase. Now, what law enforcement are doing these days, not everyone, but a lot of them, they're asking you for access to your phone, to your social media, to run it through a program that is looking for any irregularities. The problem is they don't tell you what irregularities they're looking for. And if they do, it's very vague. And yet they're capturing all your data. I just had some other coaching members that had done this. They gave over their cell phone, and it's going running through all their data, and it's storing and saving their data. You don't know what law enforcement is doing with those individuals. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that at that point in time, a lot of people keep personal information on their cell phone and on their social media. That's my answer as to why I wouldn't share my social media. So if they ask, hey, can we gain access to your social media? It's a requirement for this position. I'm like, I understand that, but I'd like to keep my personal life and my professional life separate. If that's something that I'm not going to be able to do at this department, then this probably isn't the department for me, right? And I think once you have that understanding of, hey, you do your department audit, right? And if any of you have had a call with me, or if you've heard me say this before, department audit is identifying if a department is the right fit for you, because you don't want to go through this whole process and have a department that's not the right fit for you and be locked into a contract with them for 3 years or so because they sent you to the academy. So a department audit is very simple. Doesn't meet your financial needs, right? Is the compensation and the benefit package they're giving you meet your financial needs for you, your family, whoever? Additionally, are they available, right? Is that department available, and can you obtain that department? Which is what I mean by that. Are they currently hiring, right? Right now, are they currently hiring? And if they are, is it commutable, or are you willing to relocate for it? So if you're willing to relocate for it, you're good to go. If you're not willing to relocate and you're trying to get something commutable, there we go. You need to make sure it's actually, I wouldn't say more than an hour away, right? I've had people, it's a 2-hour drive one way, and I'm just going to, no, you're not going to commute. You're going to hate yourself because you're going to spend 4 hours a day driving. One of my departments in DC was literally 30 miles away, but it took me an hour to an hour and a half to get there with traffic, right? It was ridiculous because of DC traffic. So I was losing on a good day 2 hours with family, and on a bad day 3 to 4 hours with family, depending on when I would leave. So I would leave the house super early and then drive in, work out in DC, and then just go straight to work, shower, and go straight to work from there. So I would beat traffic just because I didn't want to waste that much time. I'd rather use that time working out. Anyway, so is it obtainable? Are you able to commute to it? And if the answer to that is yes, then you move to the next one, which Does it meet your needs, and can you stand behind what this department does? Remember, this department is an employer at its core, right? Would you stay and work for any other employer that said, hey, I need to check your cell phone every week, right? Make sure you're meeting our standards. No, you wouldn't stay there, right? And I'm not telling you not to chase your dream or your dream agency. I'm just saying is you need to understand for you specifically what you're willing to accept. Me personally, I keep my professional. I had at no point was I ever, it wasn't until I was out of certain departments where I would even have a personal relationship with my colleagues. And the reason for that is because at work, it's all professional at all times. It's how I protect myself. It's how I protect my family. I make sure that I am the utmost humble professional at all times. After I leave that department, then I can have a more personal relationship with my former colleagues, but not while I'm currently there at that department. It's just not something that I personally do. I still had that camaraderie, that family orientation, that tight-knit community, but everyone just knew that I was a professional, and that's what you're always going to get from me was the professional answer. So do you support, that department? Can you get behind everything that they stand for? For me, when it comes to sacrificing my privacy and my personal life, I don't bring my family or anything like that in there. Therefore, I don't need them having access to my text messages between me and my wife, me and my other family members. I don't need them having access to videos of my daughter because my daughter doesn't get put up on social media or anything like that. I just don't allow it. It's not what I want. And if a department says that, now here's the caveat: is departments will say, hey, it's completely your prerogative. You don't have to do this. This is not mandatory. But it looks really good. It looks really good if you're willing to do. That's nice. My answer to that is respectfully, I'd like to keep my personal life and my professional life separate. And that's how you answer that. You don't have to say, no, I will never do it. Just say, hey, respectfully, I like to keep my personal life and my professional life separate. If that's something that is just not a fit for y'all, please tell me now, because I don't want to waste my time with you. There's plenty of agencies out there that need officers right now, and they are willing to train those officers and give them advanced training and everything else they need in great pay to keep them, because that's the environment we're in right now when it comes to law enforcement. So keep that in mind. While you may feel, hey, this is the only departments that I want to work for, you'd be surprised out there what departments would truly benefit you in your career. So that's your department audit. The last part about that is making sure they fit with your morals and your goals, right? To circle back to social media, I would not personally share my social media access to anyone. Hey, no, I apologize. That's private. I don't know who's going to have access. Oh, it's just going to be me. I'm sorry. Nope. I don't know where it's going to be stored or anything like that. And I'm going to feel uncomfortable, with what's going on. I'm going to probably immediately change my passwords. No, unfortunately, I'm not going to. Oh, well, you have to give us access to your social media worker. I appreciate this opportunity, then. Thank you. At this point in time, if that's a requirement, I'll follow up with the head of hiring and confirm that that's the requirement. And if it is, then this isn't the position for me, because as I said, I keep my personal life and my professional life separate. I don't need you having access to my wife's information or my daughter's information. That's just inappropriate. It's inappropriate. So that's how you professionally handle that situation. Or if it doesn't bother you, you can just go into it and say, hey, here's access to everything. And they're going to download all your data off your phone, and they're going to go in and use all your passwords to access your social media accounts. And then from there, I highly recommend not doing it, because if you share any passwords with any professional or personal accounts, such as your bank, and now they have access to all that. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're going through this process, right? Your next step here when it comes to this question is understanding what they're specifically asking you. So they can ask you for a download of your mobile device, right? That's your cell phone. Or they can ask you for access to your social media accounts, which is where you would give them passwords and login IDs. If you're going to do that, unfeathered access, whatever they find, they can use for hiring or for any other issue. Just remember that. Anything they find, they can use for hiring or any other issue, and you can never account for human error. So if they're in there misusing that information, which has happened before, you gave them access to it. It's very rare that you'll be able to get some type of remedy or recourse for that, especially while trying to pursue your law enforcement profession. So be cognizant of that. Let's circle this all back around. Social media in general, good or bad, it can't really help you. It can hurt you, but you can make it as neutral as possible. Neutral as possible is having a social media presence, right? If you already do, you don't have to go in there and delete everything. I would change everything to private for the longevity of your career, not just for the hiring process. This is not because, hey, I'm trying to circumvent the hiring process. This is because, hey, I'd like to keep my personal life private from my professional life, and your professional life is in the public sector, right? Serving the public. That's the main reason. Set everything to private. Get rid of anything that's just unprofessional. I mean, if it's something that's sentimental, a picture or a video that's sentimental, you can save it and set it completely to private for yourself, and then go from there. When it comes to them asking for access to your social media, I would not personally allow it. Same with access to your mobile device. I would not personally allow it because, once again, I want to keep my personal life and my professional life separate. I don't need them having access to any of my wife or my child stuff. It's just inappropriate. Sorry. If you want to give them access, that's entirely your prerogative. You do what you feel is best. After this, once you have your social media prepped and you're ready to go, now here's where the trick goes. Put your name in quotations on Google. Open up a private web browser. So for my Mac, it'll be Control-Shift-N. It's going to open up a private web browser that's not going to have any of my search history on it. From there, I'm going to type in my name. Every different way of that I use my name, right? If I use my whole name, right? If I use my first and last name, right? I'm going to do it those different ways. I'm going to put those in quotations because that's going to make them search for those names, for those two names specifically together, that specific layout. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to search. I'm going to see what pops up in a private browser. That's not going to have my logins or anything like that. So I'm going to click on those things and see what it allows me to access. And that's how you do your social media scrub and check to see where access is and who can get access and who can't get access to your private social media accounts. Hope this helps. Remember, down in the description is those gifts. Use those gifts. The free workshop, the Getting Started workshop, it has a bunch of hidden bonuses in it as well, but it's going to show you what each phase looks like. Knowledge is power. Trust me, especially in this hiring process. Additionally, the one-on-one coaching call with myself, anything you need to know about, anything pertaining to your social media, anything pertaining to your background, anything pertaining to something coming up, your board, your poly, your psych, I'm here to help. I'd be glad to sit down with you, give you the best advice I can to get you hired either this time around or the first time, so you don't have to keep repeating this anymore. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.